So how did we stop recycling?
Well, we're still recycling, not nearly as much as we'd like, or that we think it's reasonable to expect.
How much of our garbage is recycled now?
The last couple months, it's ranged between a low of about 7.25% and a high of a little over 10%.
That's not a lot.
No, it's not.
What should we be recycling?
I think we can pretty easily get to about 20%, and then after that it gets progressively more difficult. But
so what do you think is the difference? What's the reason we're so low?
I think there are a couple of reasons we dropped down this low, and we've been this low and we've actually been lower than that if you look at the past couple of years, down as low as in the 6% range.
Wow.
But a couple of reasons we were low is, one, we weren't consistently picking up recycling. And a reason for that is if you have staff shortages, if you have flooding in Morris Creek, or you have a snowstorm, or you just have a lot of people out and need to pick up trash, recycling has been the easiest thing to pull people off of.
So does that mean that recycling would never get picked up, or be a few days later?
It would be a few days later.
'Cause I remember that, so that would be like a week later. Does that actually discourage recycling if that happens?
I think it does. I think if people don't see their recycling getting picked up out there, they get discouraged about recycling. That's something we've changed in the last several months.
And how did you change it?
It's been management priorities over at DPW.
So you're saying the technology has changed now, so that right now garbage men and women are going through my recycling bin to separate the bottles from the newspapers.
For instance,
you're saying when you come up in December, you're renegotiating with the people who come get our trash, and they're no longer going to need to separate it?
Sure. I mean, we're now locked into a contract that is 15, 18 years old. It actually predates Mayor DeStefano in office. It's been that.
That's old.
That's old. And we pay $20-something per ton to take recycling away, and we have to divide it into different categories. That contrasts with about $90-something a ton for MSW trash. If we go out on the market
MSW
now,
municipal solid waste?
Yes. If we go out on the market now, both numbers will fall, the MSW and the recycling. Recycling will go down to zero, or actually will get paid to have recycling. That's where the commodities market is now. So
you're counting this for the second half of the budget year, I take it then, because of December?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it will, yes.
It'll go into effect January?
Mm-hmm.
So having the combination of a new recycling coordinator to educate people and having renegotiated contracts with the people who pick up our trash, you feel like we could spend less on balance and get more of our recycling?
Yes. Now, switching to single stream won't in and of itself encourage more people to recycle. It'll make it a lot easier from our part, save on staff time.
So what's going to convince people to recycle?
Well, we're looking at a couple of things. Now, we haven't figured out exactly which direction we're going, but I'll talk a little bit about the different options we're looking at. At the same time, on the other side, try to put pressure on people on the trash side. And so one way you do that is we could say, everybody has a 96-gallon toter right now. Make that the recycling toter and give a smaller toter for trash. And so, make it more, put some pressure on.
And so then you'll have the problem where they litter.
Well, you'll have problems like that. Other things you consider. Worcester, Massachusetts, is doing something they call pay to throw, which is you go and the city, through all the vendors, the grocery stores, the corner stores, sells City of Worcester trash bags, big, thick trash bags with City of Worcester insignia on them. And that's the only thing they'll pick up trash from. But you have to pay $1 or $2 for that trash bag, whereas they'll pick up recycling for free. Our concern is that, as I was talking about, recycling free, pay for trash. Concerns about, one, people's reaction, not wanting to have to pay for trash pickup, but two, concerns about littering, illegal dumping, any issues.
So are you
like
at the point where you're looking at these ideas but you haven't decided what you're going to do?
Yes.
Is there a timeline?
December. The end of December when the contract switches.
And we always had a sneaking suspicion, and there were always these urban legends in New Haven, that they were pretending to take our recycling, but it was being thrown away with all the other garbage. Was there any truth to that?
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, without having been able to audit every single trash run, we have our separate recycling trucks, and they do the routes around the city, and they pick up the recycling. Possibility of either in certain areas, perhaps downtown or maybe citywide, offering to pick up recycling from these commercial buildings, and as well as doing more enforcement that there's a state law that you have to provide recycling.
And are there other things you have under consideration?
Well, that's a big thing. There are a couple of other things you may be able to platform on what I was talking about with the recycling toters. There's something called Recycle Bank, which has been in Philly and some other areas, where they will actually have a way of measuring the tonnage of recycling each household recycles, which is actually relatively easy to do. You put an RFID tag on the recycling toter and on the truck, and so it reads.
What kind of tag?
It's like a key card thing, a remote sensor, which are pretty cheap. But
finally, Rob, a year from now, what's our recycling rate going to be?
A year from now, well, it
says now 7.89 was the most recent.
7.89 was January 08. I hope certainly to get it above 10% consistently. We'll probably have to phase in if we're